Hey, what's up, guys? Happy Monday, February 17th. Happy Valentine's Day, late Valentine's Day. That was this weekend. That's always fun. Watching the pressures of everyone, like, oh, I gotta take my lady somewhere and get her a gift and spend money and let her know I love her. It's funny, man. I was performing at the Comedy Store on Friday and Valentine's Day. And everybody's having fun, you know? Packed house, sold out. But then there's just that drunk chicken dude in the front fighting. It's that time of the night, you know? She's on the phone in the front row. I just light her up. Hey, asshole, shut the fuck up. Crowd laughing and shit, you know, but it's just like they're just, you know, too much pressure. They're out all of a sudden, boom, they're fighting. They're in a comedy club. Instead of going outside or home, go home and fight. Don't fight it out in the front row of a comedy show. You're just going to get lit up. How fucking dumb are you? That's what the chicks sound like. And then they say the classic, "You're not funny." Yeah. It's like, shut the fuck up. Go home. You're drunk. It's insane, man. So, but I'm glad anybody came out. Comedy Store, Valentine's Day night. That was great, man. Packed house, except for that. What a garbage can, man. Just drunk with her feet on the stage, fighting with her man. Then he's trying to get into the back, like protecting her, like, hey, man, just tell some jokes. Like I fucking work for him. Just tell some jokes, man. And I'm like, you just want me to tell jokes so you can go back to yelling at your lady. Let me just yell at her for you. Shut the fuck up. You're not funny. Tell some jokes, man. Just fucking chill out, man, and tell some jokes. What a bunch of dicks, man. They deserve each other. Get in your car and drunk drive to Riverside. Anyway, it was fun. Great weekend, man. I had a great weekend of shows. God, it's just like comedy, man, is just booming in Hollywood right now. These shows are packed. The people are great. It's just awesome, man. If you've been out in Hollywood seeing comedy lately, I mean, you know, it's just been fun. So thanks. Every day, thanks. No thanks to you. Anyway, I'm over that. I hope you guys had a good Valentine's Day weekend. What a dumb holiday or whatever. It's not even a holiday. You don't get to take a day off. If you don't get to take a day off from work, then it doesn't count. It's not a real holiday. I mean, it doesn't count. That's how I look at it, right? Back in school, it'd be like, oh, is that a holiday? Or do we get to not go to school? Cool. Whatever it is, I'm down for the cause. Get to stay home, sleep in, and then get on my BMX bike and go trash the town by donkey kicking garbage cans and riding wheelies, fucking causing complete hell on a BMX bike. That is life. It's funny. Speaking of life, man, I remember I had a Toyota Tercel. I don't even know what year it was, but it had about 250,000 miles on it. It had a Kraco car stereo, a Kraco cassette player, some triaxle, Jensen triaxle speakers in the back. This is some early shit. You guys are like, what are you even talking about? It's like medieval times car stereo. I bought a cassette by the band Dokken. Had a little power amp hidden in the glove box. Popped the cassette in. Little song called Tooth and Nail. Full blast. Just driving around. Looking at girls. Not going to school. Just tooth and nail. Tooth and nail. Fucking amazing. Over and over. Side one. Click. Side two, because I had auto reverse. That's how dope that deck was. Remember that shit? Auto reverse. For the ultimate lazy people that didn't want to press the button and turn the cassette over, it had auto reverse. These are some fucking terms I haven't said in 30 years. Tooth and nail, auto reverse, triaxle speakers, Toyota Tercel. KOME bumper sticker on the back that was modified that said, instead of I'm a rocker, my buddy would make him say I'm a coker. This is my high school life. Just funny thinking about it, because my guest today is Don Dokken. If you told me 30 years ago that Don Dokken would be sitting across from me and telling me some of the best drug, rock and roll, sex-fueled stories, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. But Don Dokken came in, man. He told great stories. This guy did not censor himself at all. He lays down the story, says, thanks, man, you rock. Call me anytime you want me on again, and rolls out. Just nothing. No rules, anything. Just like, yeah, here's how it went down. Don Dokken. So fucking cool. He's been playing music since 1976, man. I remember when I was young, I heard that Klaus Meine from the Scorpions got vocal nodes. He had to have surgery. Hey, man, you got to get some surgery on your face, dude. Your face is busted. Get some surgery. Anyway, I had to get surgery on his vocal cords. And Don Dokken went and sang the entire Blackout album. Just like, you know, like mapped it out like demos. And then when Klaus was better, he came in. And then they left the Don Dokken background vocals on. Check it out, man. Fucking Blackout, still a masterpiece to me. So fucking good. When was the last time you put Blackout on, man? Oh, you just put it on. It's just like, dunk, 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 dunk. I realize I can't escape. I not anyway. German rock, so good, man. Scorpions, Except. Shit is fucking metal, man. Michael Schenker. Anyway, back to Don Dokken. I've always loved Dokken back in the day. There was always something about them, though. They were just kind of like the... They got big, but they weren't huge. You know? And Don talks about it here on the podcast, what he thinks where the formula went sour. Loved it. This interview is actually a couple years old. It was done March 15th, 2012 on an old show. But no one heard it. I dusted it off and brought it out for you because this thing is probably in my top 5 interviews just because I just love this guy. He just tells stories. You're like, what the fuck? I mean, 80s rock. It's amazing that we didn't have more people die than we did. You know what I mean? Because 80s rock was not, it was all out, man. It was drugs, no condom sex, and fights, battles, everything, man. Shit is 80s was real, man. Anyway, I think you're going to like it. I hope you guys have a great week. Let me just give you a couple shows before I go. I'm going to be headlining La Jolla Comedy Store March 14th and 15th. Oh, shit, that's my mom's birthday, March 15th. Happy birthday, Mom! A month before. Anyway, yeah, La Jolla, come out. San Diego. I'm going to headline. I'm going to put together some cool lineups for you. So come to this March 14th to 15th. Tickets should be on sale this week. I hope to see you. Also, San Francisco, I'm coming back with Chris D'Elia at Cobb's March 27, 28, 29. So some great shows in March. That's pretty kick-ass. Del Raisers, come out. Come out and see me, man. I'm loving you guys. It's been great. It's getting bigger and bigger. You guys are all kicking ass, emailing me, saying you love the podcast. Hit me on Twitter. So cool. I love doing it, man. I love doing the podcast. I love doing comedy, and it fucking rocks when you guys hit me up. It's cool. Feels good, not going to lie. Let's see. Hey, this Tuesday, I'll be at the Hollywood Improv, too. Come down to that 10 o'clock show. Or if you live in Irvine, I'll be at that show also. Irvine Improv, 10 o'clock show. Yeah, I'll be Batman style. Fucking flying around on the Harley Davidson. Doing both shows this Tuesday. Irvine Improv and the Hollywood Improv. Both Tuesday night. While I'm at Irvine, I'm going to go down early and stop by my boy's place, Los Angeles, Harley Davidson. Love them. They're having a huge sale this month on all pre-owned bikes. They got a spring cleaning going on at Los Angeles Harley Davidson of Anaheim. Huge sale on used pre-owned bikes. Man, there's some great stuff in there. I just saw they got a fantastic Blackline in there, 2011. I like that bike a lot. You want a bagger? The sun's been shining, man, in L.A. You know, you can ride every day. I ride every day. The weather's been ridiculous. So go to L.A. Harley and check out their pre-owned bikes, man. They're going to hook you up. Got some nice pre-owned bikes, killer deals. They got some great Dynas in there, I saw. A couple switchbacks. They got a night train. They got some great pre-owned bikes. Or go in and get yourself some motor clothes or an L.A. Harley t-shirt. Or, get your bike serviced or some new tires, oil change, whatever. Take care of your bike, man. I always tell people that. They ask me for advice. You get a bike, take care of it, man. It's only 2 wheels. What are you doing, man? Don't ride around with that thing with bad tires or no oil or, bad brake pads. You got 2 wheels. You're on a motorcycle most of the time doing over 90. Don't have junk on your bike, man. Go see L.A. Harley. 2635 West Orangethorpe Avenue, Fullerton, California. Or visit them on Twitter. L.A. Harley, Anaheim on Twitter. Follow those guys, will you? Tell them you're a Del Raiser. Let them know that you heard this on the Let There Be Talk podcast. And one last thing, Earthquaker Devices. It's got a musician, Don Dokken, today. Don Dokken plays amazing guitar. You know he uses foot pedals. I bet Don Dokken wish he had Earthquaker Devices back in the day. His pedals probably broke down on tour. Earthquaker boutique pedals. Amazing. Made in Ohio. Akron, Ohio. Land of Devo, I call it. Akron should just change their name to Devo, Ohio. I truly believe that, man. I mean, what better way to put yourself on the map, man? No one knows anything about you. Like Bakersfield, that should be like Countryfield. Country music over there, Bakersfield. Right? Akron, Devo, Ohio. Let's call it that for now. Get a hashtag going. Devo, Ohio. Earthquaker Devices. Find them at earthquakerdevices.com and tell Julie and them I said I sent you. You want a pedal? Check out the Zap Machine, the Sound Shank, the Pitch Bay, the Terminal. Get some cool guitar sounds. Delays, reverbs, all that. See them. Boutique pedals. Love them. Here we go, guys. Get ready for the one, the only Don Dokken. Oh, one last thing. Shit, sorry. Thanks for the great reviews on iTunes. Strolling Dude gave me a great review. Del Rey is the master caster. Don't know what that is. Oh, no, I do. Podcaster. That's cool. Master caster. That's pretty good. Remember the plaster caster chicks? You just get a boner, they blow you, and do a plaster caster of your dick. Back in the 60s, those chicks. Awesome. Ryan B713 gave me a great review on iTunes. Leave an iTunes review, guys. It takes 1 second. Click on it. Say, well, we love it. It helps out. And subscribe and tell your friends. Last but not least, you want to donate to the podcast, Dean Del Rey at yahoo.com. Thanks, Jay Moore, for having me on Metal Mondays last week. That was awesome. Jay Moore has been a god. Check out Marin's podcast, WTF. Check out Bill Burr's podcast, Monday Morning Podcast, Pete Holmes. These are some podcasts I listen to. See you guys. I love you. Hey, what's up, guys? Happy Monday, February 17th. Happy Valentine's Day, late Valentine's Day. That was this weekend. That's always fun. Watching the pressures of everyone, like, oh, I gotta take my lady somewhere and get her a gift and spend money and let her know I love her. It's funny, man. I was performing at the Comedy Store on Friday and Valentine's Day. And everybody's having fun, Packed house, sold out. But then there's just that drunk chicken dude in the front fighting. It's that time of the night, She's on the phone in the front row. I just light her up. Hey, asshole, shut the fuck up. Crowd laughing and shit, but it's just like they're just, too much pressure. They're out all of a sudden, boom, they're fighting. They're in a comedy club. Instead of going outside or home, go home and fight. Don't fight it out in the front row of a comedy show. You're just going to get lit up. How fucking dumb are you? That's what the chicks sound like. And then they say the classic, "You're not funny." Yeah. It's like, shut the fuck up. Go home. You're drunk. It's insane, man. But I'm glad anybody came out. Comedy Store, Valentine's Day night. That was great, man. Packed house, except for that. What a garbage can, man. Just drunk with her feet on the stage, fighting with her man. Then he's trying to get into the back, like protecting her, like, hey, man, just tell some jokes. Like I fucking work for him. Just tell some jokes, man. And I'm like, you just want me to tell jokes so you can go back to yelling at your lady. Let me just yell at her for you. Shut the fuck up. You're not funny. Tell some jokes, man. Just fucking chill out, man, and tell some jokes. What a bunch of dicks, man. They deserve each other. Get in your car and drunk drive to Riverside. Anyway, it was fun. Great weekend, man. I had a great weekend of shows. God, it's just like comedy, man, is just booming in Hollywood right now. These shows are packed. The people are great. It's just awesome, man. If you've been out in Hollywood seeing comedy lately, I mean, you know, it's just been fun. So thanks. Every day, thanks. No thanks to you. Anyway, I'm over that. I hope you guys had a good Valentine's Day weekend.
That's a lot of freaking shows. One of my voices trashed.
Is it? How's your voice doing?
Better now, you know. I just came, like I said, from San Diego.
Right.
Was at the docks, and the vocal guy, I just been nursing it. And
now, did you have like nodes or anything?
I did years ago in my nose.
Yeah, in your nose?
Yeah, my nose is still screwed, and it's not from drugs.
Right.
I'm probably the only guy in rock and roll that can honestly say I never did coke. I did everything else, but never did coke.
You weren't a coke guy? What kind of drugs were you into?
Oh, man, all the bad stuff.
Yeah, like heroin?
Bad stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we talk drugs a lot on the show because I don't think they're bad.
Well, I was clean till 91, and some really bad thing happened to me. I mean, I almost died. Someone tried to kill me. And so
like murder you?
Yeah, he tried to murder me, yeah.
Who? What was that about?
You really want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah, I came close.
What happened?
Well, the band had broken up in 88, and so I formed the Don Dokken band. I put a super group.
Yeah.
So I get Mickey D, who's out Motorhead.
Yep.
He was in King Diamond.
Yep.
I get Peter Balthus, the sickest bass player out there from Accept.
Amazing.
I get John Norm, amazing singer guitar player.
Europe.
I find this unknown kid that Metallica turned me on to, who was 19 years old, Billy White from Austin, who had this, he could shred blues, young, sang like a bird. And I'm like, this is it. This is the band. So I was deciding between Billy White, and they're saying we should go with John Norum because he's famous,
right?
From Europe. And I said, but this Billy White kid, is not just a shredder. He's from Austin, and he's been influenced by all this blues and and stuff.
Like so Stevie Ray Vaughan.
He's going to bring a whole different trip, into Dokken. So I said, we'll have two guitar players. It'll be powerful. So
like Whitesnake.
Yep, it would be powerful. You got Aldrich and Beach. I mean, come on, man. They're just both shredders. So we started writing the record. I had everybody come over from Europe. Peter moved his whole family out here from Pittsburgh. Mickey D had just left King Diamond. He'd come out to L.A. looking for a gig.
Right.
And so I rented him a house down in Manhattan Beach, where I'm from.
Yep.
Got about 3 blocks from my pad. So they're living at the beach. They're living the good life. I've got this multi-million-dollar deal with Geffen because I just come off the Monster Rock.
Yeah, yeah.
So even though the money we made in our career, I think I made more money like in 60 days with David, God bless him,
than
I did my track. Because I had, what you guess you say, the power.
Yeah, the power of the re-sign.
Oh, people were just doing okay, $2 million for merchandise. Okay. $2 million for your publishing. Okay.
Yeah.
$1 million a record. I'm like, $1 million too. Okay. And so, I just started, all this money piled in within 2 months.
Right.
So it was like, okay, we'll make the ultimate record. I got endless supply of money, and I've got all these awesome players. We spent 8 months writing Up From the Ashes.
Yep.
And I was producing, so I'm toast. And then, so I said, I haven't produced anything since Great White's first album. Second, I did a couple there. I discovered them in Orange County.
Right.
And then I produced Black and Blue and got them a deal, and a couple
Great
other
band.
bands, got them a deal. And I said, I got to get my producer chops on if I'm going to do triple duty. So I took on this band, XYZ, and I produced
remember them.
So I said, I'll produce them so I can get in that mindset of listening to things, minutia, and you got to go with your soul.
Right.
It could be sound perfect. You're going, somehow this part of the song it seems to fall apart, and it's kind of moving around, and why? And I'm trying to figure it out. And it could be the drummer slagging or the bass player's on top.
Right.
But you got to be a producer. So I got all done with that, and I said, I'm going to take all you guys to Hawaii.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the Westin. It's the most bitchin' hotel on the beach in Kauai.
Yep.
And we're going to spend like 10 days in Kauai. So I go to Kauai, took the whole band. We did the whole, Zodiac rafting, mountain climbing.
Yeah.
Just sitting around drinking pina coladas. It was just a beautiful vacation.
Yep.
I'm all chill. I'm all rested. And the last 4 days at that time, I had a son. Tyler was about, I think he was like 3. So I had his mother. Told his mother, I said, you want to fly over, and bring Tyler? It'd be cool to have my kid,
right,
in the pool and, and show him on the beach. And so our very last night of leaving, now we got 5 rooms in the penthouse.
Right.
But they're all under the name Dokken.
Yep.
Well, one of the guys in the band went out that night, or the night before, and partied at the local bar.
Yeah.
And he shagged a girl that was
Fuck
local.
someone's chick.
He fucked someone's chick, and she went home. Apparently, the rumor had she had rug burns on her knees and her bottom and her back, and she wouldn't own up what happened. Her girlfriend said it was some guy in Dokken, and then this guy was like this huge
Simone?
dude. He was huge.
Yeah. And those guys got big tempers over in Hawaii.
He was insane. So she says I was raped.
Uh-oh.
You know, so that's her cop out.
Yeah.
So this guy happened to work also at the Westin.
Wow.
So here I'm sleeping. It's 12 o'clock at night. I'm in like Zen mode.
Yep.
Till last night, you know, I got the door open, listening to the ocean waves crash.
Yeah.
I'm laying there. My son is here. His mother is here. We're all sleeping. And I hear the door kind of, you know, and I'm like,
oh, no.
I'm like,
Thinking maid.
Yeah, I go, excuse me. No, hey. I go, don't, you know, we're sleeping. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And it's pitch black. And all of a sudden I hear this guy screaming bloody murder. I'm going to fucking kill you.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. And even though, you know, I studied martial arts my whole life and all this, then you realize that there's no fight or flight in that situation.
No.
But the biggest problem was I didn't know what was going on. And then he started just swinging at the bed wildly with a bat.
Wow.
And that wasn't a bat.
And your wife and kid are there.
Yeah, and the problem wasn't my wife, but yeah, it was his mother. And so I had no choice but to roll over on top of Tyler.
Wow.
Because he's a baby.
That's right.
If you would have hit Tyler in the head, he'd be dead.
Right.
He would have popped his skull like an egg.
Yeah.
So I'm just piled on top of him.
Yep.
And I just took it.
He's hitting you with the bats?
About 9 or 10 times, till the bat broke.
Wow.
So I was bloody.
In the body or the head?
On the back. He didn't get my head. I don't know why. I was kind of like
this.
His mom's screaming. You know, the lamp flies off.
Right.
The board breaks. I grab part. We start. Then I jump up and we start throwing down.
Right.
Then she hits a light on. And I went, oh great, it's Godzilla.
Yeah. Oh man.
So to be really quite honest, the door was open about this much.
Right.
And I thought, man, if I just get him in a headlock, I'll just kind of just let him keep punching. I'll drag him to the balcony.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
throw him off.
I'll just throw him off the balcony.
Yeah.
And that'll solve this.
This is like a fucking bad episode of Hawaii Five-0.
Dude, it was really bad.
You know what I mean?
But the problem was the door was only open about this much, and this guy was about this wide. So I had him like this, and I had him in a really good choke.
Yeah.
But I had to let one hand go to get the door open.
Yeah.
And his neck was this big around, so he just pulled it out. He bolted. So I'm in like a bathing suit, you know. Good thing I wasn't naked.
Yeah.
So I run out. So he runs out the door. Now I'm not in flight mode. I'm in I will kill you mode.
Yeah.
So first I look down. Now here's the weirdness. My kid was still asleep.
Wow.
He did not wake. He's out. He never woke up once. And I thought, thank God bless he wouldn't be traumatized. So I go taking off down the hallway. I didn't realize how bad I was hurt.
Right.
I mean, I was really bloody.
Yeah, because of adrenaline.
Dude, I was blood everywhere.
Right.
So all this is going down. She's calling the cops. They come up, the armed guards. Here I'm come running down the hallway with half of the board.
And you still don't know what happened.
And
Why?
He's gone.
Yeah.
And they come out and they go, boom, drop it. And I go like this. And then cops throw me down and cuff me and arrest me.
Right.
So I'm like, and I'm doing I want my phone call. But the joke was, so we go downstairs, cops, it's a big to-do, and the chick's in the back of the police car, and she made a police report that the guy that raped her, she doesn't know who he was. It was a guy in Dokken, and he was about 5'5", blonde hair, and a heavy accent. And I'm like, I'm 6'1", I have brown hair, and I say dude. I don't have an accent.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking, Peter Balthus is German. John Norm's Norwegian. No, it ain't John.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, 5'6", Mickey.
Oh, no.
So we go up to Mickey D's room, and he's like, you know, they're like, dude, did you shag some chick last night? He's like, yeah. I goes, well, she said she raped her, and she got dumped on me, and he's like, shit, she raped me, dude.
Wow.
And he just owned it, and he said, yeah, man, I was with, you know, what saved me, you know, as far as that incident, you know,
right.
They didn't arrest us, was it turned out when they did the investigation at the bar that she was a local hoe.
Oh,
they
wow.
go, look, they go, when her boyfriend's, he was an elevator repairman, and he worked at the hotel. She goes, when he's working, she's banging
Just
the
out
locals.
fucking.
10 people said at the bar she was literally dry humping Mickey White trying to play pool.
Right.
So rape my ass.
Right.
But the tragedy of it was, you know, it was the luck of the draw that he came to my room and not Norm's or Peter's or whoever's, you know.
Right. So you start doing drugs from this? Like you're all beat up?
Well, first of all, the next morning I left. And they apologized, and they said that we want you to know, Mr. Dokken, we're not going to charge you for the minibar. I'm not making that up, man.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's too crazy. I said, you're not charging for the minibar? How about not charging me the $36,000 hotel room bill?
Yeah.
Because we were living it.
Yeah, you got fucking...
I got wasted.
You got beat up.
So what
with a
happened
bat.
was, I guess, I'm not gonna say it's my fault, but I came home. On the way home, I got scared. My hand went to sleep. My arm went to sleep. I thought, oh great, I'm having a heart attack. But when I got home, I guess there was massive nerve damage, ruptured discs in my back. I waited about 6 weeks. I thought, I'll heal. I was still doing martial arts, and I was stretching, and it was really hurting bad. But I had all these weird sensations and like shooting pains on my leg. And
so I like sciatic nerve stuff.
So he got me good under the scapula on the left side.
Right.
So I went to Curl and Job. These famous guys do all the basketball players and football players. I'll go to Curl and Job. He's the best. They'll fix me up and good as new. And after I went to therapy there for 6 months, the guy said, well, I wish you would have came right away, because now how he explained it was, he goes, if you take a steak and tenderize it, and you put it back in the refrigerator, it doesn't tenderize. He goes, the guy basically hit you like 6 times in the exact same spot, and all my muscle tissue separated.
Right.
But then it healed, started growing back, and all this massive scar tissue between the fibers. I had all this scar tissue.
Yeah.
And
so painkiller time.
So it's the old story.
Yep.
I'm like, man, I am in hell, and I have to start a record.
Right.
So they put me on Vicodin.
Yeah.
And that lasted a couple of years.
Yeah, and that doesn't work anymore.
And then I worked up to the 500s to the 750s, up to the Norco, then the OxyContin 10.
Yep.
Up to 20s. And this happened over about 10 years.
Right.
So 91 to 2000, I was just kind of, going to therapy, and I said I want to get operated on. I said, whatever that nerve is, just cut it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I can't feel my back, I don't care.
Yeah.
I just can't. I want to be able to play my guitar without having shooting pains up my arm.
Yeah.
And I still don't have any sensation in these 2 fingers.
Wow.
It's over with for those. So I said I'm in pain all the time, and my leg hurts, and I couldn't even ride my Harley. I mean, I just couldn't do it.
Yep.
But then, as this Oxy thing came out,
Yeah.
And then they came up with this new invention called fentanyl patches.
Yeah.
Which is like heroin in a patch, and it just keeps jacking you. You know, you put it on your skin.
Yeah.
It's just heroin. All OxyContin is heroin.
That's right. That's all it is.
Fentanyl is heroin.
Yeah, it's hillbilly heroin.
It's hillbilly heroin. And, yeah, I guess over the years between drinking Jack Daniels, OxyContin, then I couldn't go to sleep. They give you Xanax. They give you Ambien. They give you... So I graduated, till about 4 years ago. I was just pretty much done.
Just fucked up.
No, I was just gone. I was going to die.
Yeah.
I mean, it was obvious. I didn't know it.
Right.
But everybody was saying, you're just... You can't write. You can't... You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
You're passing out. The intervention that I brought on myself was I went out and did an acoustic tour with Queensryche.
Right.
So I opened up for them acoustically, and I guess one night I'd taken my Ambien, Xanax, Jack Daniels,
I seen
fentanyl,
that video footage.
morphine, and I guess I was pretty gone after the show.
Yeah.
I never screwed up on stage.
Right.
I wasn't pulling the Janie Lanes and all that.
Right.
I actually was a functioning junkie.
Right.
But apparently I went to sleep, and I woke up in my bunk, and I wanted to pee.
Yeah.
And so I walked to the front of the bus to walk off and pee. I didn't know the bus was going 70.
Wow.
So I could have been dead. So I guess the driver, the last second, hit the thing and locked it, and then he calls back the manager. He wakes up the guys in Queens. I said, Dokken just tried to walk off the bus going 70. And I just went back and then they came out. I guess I was laying on the couch. I was passed out. And so the next day, they called me Donnie Darko the whole tour.
Yeah.
Because I would just sleep all day on all this heroin, basically. And they'd wake me up an hour and a half before the show and go, you're up an hour and a half. I'd get up and warm up my voice and have a cocktail and pop an OxyContin, or 2 or 3. And I graduated from 10 milligrams, of course, to 60 milligrams.
Yep.
3 a day, that's, 200 something. So I was just a heroin addict, basically. Only legally getting it from the doctor.
Now, was that fucking with your voice?
No.
Yeah, because,
It dries you up a little bit, but... I don't know. I mean, look at the Queensryche footage. I was on it.
Yeah,
I was singing like a bird.
Now, what about the last tour? You're on tour right now?
Well, we're making the record right now. We just finished cutting the album. I started doing the vocals. We just did El Paso 2 nights ago.
Right.
And Albuquerque, just to go out and just...
Pick up a little money?
Well, I said, let's go out, and play a little bit, because I'm going to start singing in a couple of days.
Yeah.
I want to get the rush and the buzz and the vibe and see how my voice is doing.
Who's in the band?
But John Levin. John Levin's been in the band for 10 years now. He was originally our attorney.
Right. Yeah, I read that.
The attorney guitar player. He was in Dora Pesh back in the 80s.
Right.
He left, became an attorney. And Wild Mick still plays with us. And Ted Nugent. And unfortunately, he was playing with Ronnie Montrose till a month ago.
Yeah, I can't believe that. No, we lost Ronnie.
Mick was his drummer.
Yeah, we lost Ronnie. Just unbelievable.
Mick called me. Mick found out first because he plays with Ronnie.
Right.
And he texted me, and I said, you sure it isn't one of those internet things?
Yeah. And
so I called Mick. He goes, no, dude, he's gone.
It's weird because Ronnie had prostate cancer, and then they said he beat it. And then all of a sudden, it must have just came on because all of a sudden he was gone.
You know?
Yeah, you just never, I mean, I don't think you really ever beat cancer. You just ride it for a while and hope
submit. They call it, it goes into submission.
Right.
I've lost so many friends. Look at what Ronnie Deal, I mean, they said, oh, yeah, we'll give him chemo. He's got stomach cancer.
Now Tony Iommi.
Tony, and we're playing M3 this year.
That's right.
And Sabbath was headlining. It was we were playing with Sabbath and Queensryche, and all of a sudden I got the news, and they were going to give us a couple other shows.
Yep.
I said, it'll be awesome playing with Sabbath. And,
yeah.
The whole thing just blew up in our face. So then the agents called and said, we got to think this on M3, and we got to find other bands and reorganize everybody.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a bummer, But
yeah,
a lot of people die with drugs too, like Kevin. I mean, I'm glad I got clean.
Kevin the bro.
When that Dr. Drew thing came out, that was kind of my wake up call.
Are you clean now?
Oh yeah, it's been 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
So I went to that. I saw Dr. Drew, and I saw Jeff, that guy who passed, Jeff from Taxi.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, man, that guy is out of his mind.
Yeah, he is out of his mind.
But people would say, yeah, but I've seen you like that, Don.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think so. And I've never been that bad. But you don't know.
You don't know because you're high.
You're in denial. I'm high. I feel great. What's the matter?
Janie Lane. That was pretty. That was a surprise.
You don't know. So I went to Dr. Drew. I went to Los Angeles Hospital, and I just checked myself in for. And there was a whole bunch of celebrity. They put me in a celebrity section.
Right.
I'm not going to say who was there, but there were some really famous people there. There was only 6 rooms in the celebrity thing.
Yep.
And then after about a month, I think my hospital bill was pushing about $40,000.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I don't need to have you order me a steak.
Yeah.
I'm already clean. The first 3 days I was in there, I felt fine.
Yeah.
They're giving you the detox.
They're giving you the detox stuff, right?
Phenobarbital.
Right.
And they give you Suboxone, and they give you Seroquel.
Yeah.
It can make you go to sleep. I used to laugh. I'd be up all night watching TV in the little room at like 9 o'clock. Man, it was a tomb in there.
Yeah.
And you go to the nurse station, and they give you these pills. You take them, and I said, man, everybody's just passed out in this place. What are these pills?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want those pills.
Yeah. That sounds like shit you were taking.
Yeah. And so then I looked it up, but they actually gave me my guitar back and my laptop. And most people, when you go to rehab, you get nothing.
Yeah.
But when you go down, I was smoking, and I'd want to go smoke in this other section where all the tweakers and crackheads and crystal meth addicts.
Those guys are really fucked.
And all this shit. And I said, what? How are you guys in here when you're like homeless people? And
yeah, how you paying for it?
How you paying for this? And I found out, 5150. So you go to court, it's your 15th bust.
Right.
And they say you can go to jail.
Yep.
Or you can go to rehab.
Yeah.
Well, of course they're going, rehab, we got large screen TV, we got food, we get to sit outside in the sun.
Yeah, and they got drugs, too.
And that was a sad part. I will say, I don't care what Los Angeles says, but they need to tighten up the security.
Yeah.
Because I saw people, like...
There's drugs in there.
They'd walk over this ivy fence, this one area, and somebody'd pull up, and they just stick their hand through the ivy, and the guy would get his score.
Yeah.
And then after I was clean, I'm watching these 20-year-old kids, and I'm like, dude, you're high, man. Now I know, because once you're clean, you know. It's like an ex-drinker or smoker. Yeah. I'm like, dude, you are a high.
Yep.
And they do that thing called cheeking, because this kid come at me, where you take the pills and you just put them in your cheek.
That's right, yeah.
And then you store up, 8 or 9 phenos.
Cheeking.
And they call it cheeking.
Yeah.
And then the guy will buy them from you. There was a kid in there, 20 years old, whose dad was a doctor. He had a Ferrari.
Yep.
And he'd been writing Oxy scripts and made $100,000.
Yeah.
And got in serious trouble. He was looking at 10 years.
Yeah.
So they sentenced him to a year. In Los Angeles.
A year.
He was climbing out of his skis. I said, well, dude, it's better than 10 years in prison.
Yeah.
And there's two kids in there. Both of them were doctor kids, rich, that were stealing their dad's scripts and writing oxys. And the way it works is if it's 10 milligrams, $10, and then 20 milligrams, $20. It's $1 a milligram.
Yeah.
These guys are taking 60 and 80.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But they smoke it and they snort it. And
yeah.
I said, do you understand this is a time-release drug? If you take an OxyContin and take the whole thing at once, you're probably going to die.
Yeah.
But, people are dropping dead on that stuff. I probably should have.
Yeah.
I probably should have.
How old are you now?
72.
For a minute, I was like, oh, yeah?
Just turned. Oh. And I had a couple incidents, I won't go into it. But over the years, looking back, after I got straight, I thought, I should have died then. And
yeah.
Should have died then. And should have died then. And
yep.
Just stupid things, because when you're high, you fall asleep, and you wake up, and my leg is just throbbing, the nerve damage.
Yeah.
And then I take my meds, not realizing I just took them 45 minutes before that. Now I double dosed.
Yeah.
Then I'll have a couple like Jack and Cokes, and then I'm a mess. I wake up and I could have died very easily, overdose, because you don't have to take a lot of drugs to die. Heath Ledger proved that. Trace amounts, even with Janie.
Yep.
It's just you can do it 50 times.
And you get lucky.
And the 51st time, like Heath, what really killed him was the walking pneumonia.
Yeah.
So he's already in respiratory duress.
Yeah.
Now he takes his Xanax and an Ambien and an Oxy, and he's really sedated, and he's
now you slows down your breathing.
He can't wake up. He slows down your breathing. He's too sedated to wake up.
Yep.
The lungs are in duress already because he's got like a walking pneumonia. The heart starts to stress out, and you just stop breathing. You die. You aspirate.
Yeah.
That because I would watch these celebrities. I said, what would they take?
Yeah.
Shit, man, I can take 5 times that much.
Yeah.
But it's a Russian roulette.
Yeah.
That what I took, the millennium. I quit drinking, smoking, everything except and I cut down all the meds. And New Year's Eve, the millennium, we're playing with Def Leppard.
Yep.
And they're passing on these things called Jello shots.
Oh yeah.
Well, I didn't know they were like 80% vodka.
Oh.
And I didn't eat.
Yeah.
And so I had about 20 of them. Lime, watermelon. Oh, try the peach.
Yeah, these are great.
And I didn't really feel that hammered.
Yeah.
But apparently, I went back and took my normal meds, and thank God I left my hotel room door on, and my road manager was walking by, and he kind of looked. He goes, "Why is Don's door open?" And he walked in, and I guess I was just like laying in vomit and passed out.
Right.
He picked me up and did the proverbial, walked me around the hotel, 55,000 times, and just pouring coffee down me, and I could have just aspirated and died.
Right.
Pulled a Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
So the next day, that was it.
You got 9 lives.
I quit everything, man. I woke up New Year's Day, 2000. It's easy to remember the date because it was a millennium.
Right.
And I said, I'm done.
Right.
I mean, I don't give a shit if I'm in pain. I'll just stop. And I did, and I quit, and my kids were super stoked, and I didn't drink, and it lasted about 4 years, and I slowly started back degressing. I'm a halfie, as they say.
Right.
You're in rehab, and they go, you can't do this, you can't do that. Everybody's out chain smoking.
Yeah.
And you can't drink, and I'm like, I went, excuse me, wait a minute. What's all this shit about? Did you say I can't drink?
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Why would I want to get drinking? I love I don't want to get hammered.
You drink now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was.
What's your favorite drink?
This is a Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And they took an eyedropper and put something in it. But
what do you like?
I like
Jack
wine.
Daniels?
I like wine.
Oh, you like wine?
Yeah. I will drink a Jack. We do this thing every night, which I shouldn't do because I said no more Jack. I promise.
Right.
But we all will have like a Jack and Coke. Mick has Mick and Coke.
Yeah.
Jim Beam and Coke, and we'll just have like what we call shorts. And
Yep.
We'll just go cocktail. Cheers. Good show. God bless. Let's kick some ass, and that's about what I do.
Right.
But I don't allow any hard liquor in my house.
Oh yeah.
Wine. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
red wine, white wine. If you don't have it in your house, you won't drink it.
Yeah.
Because I'm an addict, so my guys come over and I go, "You got any vodka? No. Got any Jim Beam? No. Look at what's your wine rack?" I said, "I got wine."
Yeah.
That's about as safe as I can go.
Now, what about what happened on the Eddie Trunk show? It was
Good question.
I wanted to talk about that because George went on there and he said that the classic lineup was going to get back together, right?
Yeah, you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, and why did he say that? It was obviously brewing. You
The
guys,
truth?
Yep.
I mean, the problem with Dokken
Yeah. What is the
is
problem?
there's Don Dokken's truth and there's George Lynch's truth.
That's right.
But I am not a sociopath,
Right.
and I don't, and I would have never done that if we weren't getting back together. Because everybody's saying, Don's the one. George, he's been going on for years. I just go like this. I don't listen to this bullshit anymore.
Right.
Don's the one. Don's the one. He's greedy. He wants all the money. Blah blah blah. I said, dude, I got plenty of money.
Yeah.
I got plenty. I don't need anything.
Do you got plenty of money still? I mean,
Well,
you making some money?
Well, I live in Benedict Canyon on 2 acres.
Oh man!
Yeah.
All right, here's what we're gonna do.
I got rid of my car collection, all that jazz.
Yeah.
The Rolls Royces, only because when I bought this property,
Yeah.
they wouldn't fit in the garage.
Right.
So I'm done with the toys. Like
Yeah.
I said, we talked
I
about
hear
Harley.
you.
I got
Yeah.
my Harley, got a Beamer.
Yeah.
I live 2 blocks from Gene Simmons. I
Yep.
live in a beautiful 2 acres with oak trees. I'm at peace.
Yeah.
I don't need shit.
Yeah.
All my guys in my band now say, with Mickey, say, man, why don't you just write a book, Don? You're
Yeah.
literate. You're an English major. You know how to write. I said, because if I wrote and told the truth,
Yeah.
then people would be mad at me.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I could rat out everybody on the planet because
That's
I've heard
right.
a lot of stories and I've seen a lot of interviews, and I go, that's not true.
Yeah.
Because it's an odd thing if you look at who I've toured with.
Mm-hmm. Man, you were out. You did
Priest. AC/DC,
Metallica,
Scorpions, Van Halen. I sang on the Scorpions album.
Yeah.
We played with. We did 50 shows with AC/DC in stadiums. I mean, people don't realize that the bands like Winger, and Warrant, and Poison,
they all
came along in the late 80s.
That's right.
They were coming around 88, 89.
Without Dokken, there's no Warrant. That's 100%. I know, but they really. Them, and then later you even got the $3 version, Keel.
Yeah, well, even when Reb Beach joined the band, and we did the Ray Slade album, he said when they were doing the first Winger album, they were using Under Lock and Key, the Dokken album, as their reference.
Blue Map.
This is what we need to do.
Right.
Take the Dokken album and the way the up tempos, the down tempos, the ballads, the mix, the sound. He said we literally studied your record as what a fucking great record is, not just the single. That was always my issue. I said, everybody goes, just give us a single, and we got it, which is true.
Yeah, which is true.
If you get the hit, you could have. But I said, but all these bands have that one song, and I go out and buy the CD, which I'm sure the fans agree with. You buy these bands with that great song, and you get 7 tracks of crap.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
that was the problem with a lot of those bands that came later.
They came way late. Those guys, all late 80s.
Like Trickster,
all
Keel.
Late 80s.
All those bands had like one song. It was the ballad. They would put out the first kind of rock song to get the dudes into
and go with the ballad.
And then they go straight to the ballad.
And we were on our 8th world tour.
Right.
When all those bands came along, we went out because we were the older guys.
Yeah.
I remember the night that Motley Crue got signed was in 80. I'd already gone to Europe and got a record deal. After I did the Scorpions, did some background vocals on their album.
Yeah. Now, you worked on the Blackout album. Like Klaus had vocal problems. And
like all of us, because, he
had nodes.
Well, you got to remember back in the 80s, it was the sing higher.
Yeah, and no monitors, really.
I can name 10 singers that were all singing like at the screaming bloody murder.
Right.
And, I was a young kid.
Yeah.
I think I was 26 when I did the Scorpions, which was in 81. Right. And in return for doing the background vocals, free, the Dieter Dirk said, you can use my studio for a week, the B room. So I went in and just recorded some songs by myself.
Yeah.
I didn't have a band.
Right.
It was just me.
Yep.
So I cut these songs, and the manager, Gabby Hauke, who was the manager of Accept, said, I got some business in Hamburg, and I'll take your demo. This guy named Rolf Bayerlel, he's the biggest publisher, and he's got a real big bang Saxon. I go, ooh, I love Saxon,
Yeah, denim and leather.
I was always into more of the Euro bands.
Me too.
So I thought, man, if I can get on Carrera with bands like Saxon, I'd be really happy.
Yeah.
The problem was, she came back and she hands me this plane ticket, and she says, asking for 10,000 marks. I'm like, how much is that?
Yeah.
Dollars. She goes, I think it's about, $4,000. And she goes, you know what? Asking for 20,000 marks. I think it was $7,500.
Right.
I signed that deal for $7,500.
Wow. Your first record deal.
But the problem was, I get the deal. I'm in Germany. I don't have a band.
Yeah.
I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So that's when I called Mick. Well, Mick. And he had been doing the band, the boys, and decided him and George. And I always loved those guys. We played the Starwood. See, I come from a different generation.
Yeah, the early Hollywood.
I played with Van Halen.
Yeah, the Starwood, Gazaris. All
that shit. Troubadour, Starwood,
what was the one
Golden West Ballroom, Myron's Ballroom downtown L.A.
Yeah.
All these clubs. There was one on La Cienega that was a big club for a while.
Yeah.
That
what's that one called?
It was a really cool club.
Yeah.
It had back rooms and shit.
Country Club, remember that one?
Country Club. It was the two big, Wolf and Russ Miller.
Yep,
and Russ Miller got murdered.
Yeah.
And they thought that Wolf did it.
Yeah.
And then it was like unsolved murder, and we played the Country Club, but I remember playing with Van Halen in like 77.
Yeah.
And then they came out in 78, I think, with that Van Halen album.
That's right.
I remember seeing Van Halen. We were playing. We were warming up for them.
What was your band called then?
Airborne.
Oh, that's right. Now there's an Airborne now.
And that's why I had to change my name.
Right.
They said, well, there's a band that has a record deal called Airborne. I said, oh, man, shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, we warm up for them. It was, and then I remember playing the show, and I was the lead guitar player and the lead singer.
Right.
And my chops were pretty up then. Juan Crucier went with Rat. He was the bass player.
Right.
And we just got Greg Peck was the drummer. We were a three-piece.
Right.
And so we
were
did
you
our
cover
show.
band?
We did well. We did really no. All originals.
Right.
So we were like metal, really, and it wasn't in. The punk thing was really coming on strong. Black Flag and
that British new wave has a
all
metal
the new wave and the Knack and my Sharona and ruled the way. So I was way out of fashion.
Right.
We were all metal. My hair was down to here, and we had we're all Les Paul, and it just wasn't happening. And I remember playing this place called the Fleetwood in Redondo Beach. Van Halen goes on. I'm in the dressing room. I got my local clique and da-da-da. And I'm kind of hearing in the background, I thought they only had one guitar player. They obviously got two.
Yeah.
And I walked out this balcony. I remember looking down at Eddie for the first time I ever seen him, and he had a missile, a rocket.
Oh yeah, remember that thing?
The red rocket with the smoke, and he had the Echoplex.
Yeah.
Remember
They
that?
carried that thing around everywhere.
That thing weighed a ton.
Yeah.
And he's playing, and I'm just, as a guitar player, I'm like, well, what is he doing?
Yeah.
He's doing that, the two-handed thing.
Yeah.
He came up with that. And I'm just, it boggled my mind. And I think that night I thought, I probably should just get on this vocal thing.
Yeah.
Because I will never be Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
He changed the face of rock and roll.
Right.
Eddie reinvented it.
Yeah.
And even with David, who was so gregarious on stage and so the ringmaster.
Yep.
Only thing missing was the Lions and Tigers.
That's right.
And up to then it was I came from the Montroses and the Deep Purples and the Blackmores and and all these guys. And those singers those days, we got in the mic and we sang.
No circus.
I wasn't doing the splits.
Yeah.
I wasn't jumping off the drum riser and doing backflips.
Yeah.
That wasn't what I did. I play guitar.
Right.
So I was like we were more like a Y&T. I just sat.
Oh, I love Y&T.
I'm on the guitar.
Yeah.
The second time we played that place, it was Journey,
Yep.
Y&T and us. Blotzer was in the band. Bobby Blotzer was on drums. And we were big fans of Y&T.
Oh, God.
And I was like, this is so great.
So great. Dave Medichetti.
And that was Journey's last show before they got Steve Perry. Greg was singing.
Greg Raleigh.
Greg was still
Just
singing.
killer.
It was their last show before they'd done this new record with this new singer.
Yeah.
No one had heard
Infinity.
it. Infinity. And with Steve. And, and that's like 6 months later, it just exploded.
Right.
So they had this commitment to do this one show. And I remember I was like a little kid, we had to share the motorhome out front with Y&T.
Yeah.
And so Bobby's doing we're all doing the We're Not Worthy with Manichetti and, and Leonard.
Phil Kenmore.
Phil, I miss him so much.
Yeah, man.
I played the New Year's Eve show, and he died 4 days after. We're raising money to help Phil.
Right.
Because the medical, not the medical, but his wife. You got to pay. Even though you got medical, you got lights and phone and gas and and you got your house payments. And what are you going to do? We're trying to help him. And it was really sweet. Everybody showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Tate and all these guys showed up, and all these stars flew in from all over the place to help Phil. But the strange thing is, I toured Y&T many, many times.
Yep.
During my OxyContin days.
Yeah.
And he'd always come and go. He'd always go like this. Man, my back's killing me, Doc.
Wow.
Call me Doc.
Yeah.
He'd go, Dr. Don, they call me, because I always have my drug bag. If anybody wanted to score on a big tour, it's like, Dokken's got all kinds of...
Would you charge him?
He's got... No, of course not.
Like, hey, this shit's going to cost you. Yeah.
Well, if I knew there were $20 a pill, I got to get rich.
Yeah.
But, I'm just doing... When a doctor gives you drugs, it's not...
You feel it's okay.
He's justifying it.
That's right.
And in my defense, if you saw the pictures, and I had the pictures...
Yeah.
If you saw the pictures of my back...
Right.
When the police took pictures, I mean, it looks like somebody took a machete to me. I mean, I was really hurt bad. I mean, right now I'm sitting here...
Yeah.
I can't... I always do this... Reminds me. I go like this, and it just feels like somebody's just stepping on my back.
Yeah.
But you got to live with it.
Is that some of the tension from the drugs all those years between you and George Lynch?
No, because
where does the tension
I never
come
did a
from?
drug in my life, God's my witness, till 3 years after the band broke up.
Right. Now, where does the
tension
come
was
from?
the drugs, but it wasn't. I didn't do coke.
Right.
I was one of these wine guys. I had Corbel champagne.
Right.
The cheap champagne on the right. I drank champagne.
Yeah.
That was my thing.
But where does the
Mick and I
tension come from?
They're all gacked up in the back of the bus with an ounce of cocaine.
Yeah, they love the gack. Remember that word, gack?
Chop, 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 chop,
Yeah,
chop, chop, chop. I'm in my bunk all here.
Yeah.
And
then they start doing the blow, and then they start getting into those conversations.
Here's a conversation in my bunk one night.
Yeah.
Probably the few times that son of a bitch made me cry.
Yeah.
I'm laying in my bunk, I'm sitting, and I hear them going, look, if we could get rid of Don, and we got to get a young guy, a young singer.
Yeah.
Because, Don, we got to get a David Lee Roth type, and then we could really explode. And I'm like, my band, I formed the band,
Yeah.
I got the record deal, I had nothing.
Songs.
I found Pilsen in a bar.
Yeah, in
singing,
Novato?
Singing, in the Valley.
Right.
A place called Shot of Gold,
Uh-huh.
singing Little Red Corvette. He was a nobody.
Right.
And Mike Barney said, and the only reason when I went to see him, because
Yeah.
it was 5 blocks from the apartment I was living at in the Valley at the time.
Yeah, Barney, old school.
Barney got me in, and Jeff literally joined the band, had to think about it.
Right.
I said, we got the Bush Cult tour. Oh, yeah, but I go, what do you mean, oh, yeah?
Yeah.
We're going to do a video, we're on Lepre. And he goes, oh, yeah, I was thinking about doing my own thing. And I'm like, you have to think about it?
Yeah.
Wow, that was pretty heavy. Okay, go sing Little Red Corvette. So he literally joined the band like 4 days before he filmed Breaking the Chain. So he steps in.
Right.
He went from nobody to arenas.
Right.
In 6 weeks.
Yeah.
George is in the band. We haven't even gone on tour yet.
Where'd you find George?
Well, he played with Mick and the boys.
Oh, I gotcha.
And I thought, this George Lynch guy is amazing.
He is amazing.
He was up there with Eddie.
Yeah.
But every time I'd see him play, he'd pass out and they'd take him away in an ambulance.
Right.
That was his rhetoric. I think he had this habit when he played solos. He'd go, and he would hold his breath. And he'd shred, and he'd hold his breath, and he'd pass out.
Right.
The first time I saw George, he was shredding, and then he passed out, and I remember we were going on after them.
Yep.
And they took him away, in an ambulance, and I was like talking to Mick, what's that all about? He goes, yeah, I know, he's got to stop holding his breath.
Now, was George doing roids? Because that guy got look at your face.
You're not going to ask me that, are you?
First of all...
No, he did that all naturally.
Let me tell you something.
It's natural to look like that at 55 years old.
There's no one in rock that should look like... remember
Kane.
Yeah, Kane Roberts.
Kane Roberts.
Remember Kane Roberts?
Well, the whole thing, I didn't understand what I said. If you get that buffed, how are you going to play like a shredder?
That's right.
And we'd be in Japan after we got back together in 95.
Yeah.
And he's lifting, doing these 30s, to make sure his veins are popping up his neck. But then he couldn't play.
Yeah.
He was playing real sloppy, and I'm like... This is George Lynch. This is one of the greatest guitar players, in my opinion, ever.
Absolutely.
He's got his own style.
Mr. Scary.
The jack-off vibrato. Mr. Scary will go down in history.
It's fucking amazing.
As one of the most amazing instrumentals of all time.
Yeah.
But George, he got too big.
Yeah, he got too big.
There's big, and then there's like freaky, like the Hulk big.
Yeah, like Carrot Top.
And he was pissed.
Yeah. What's his main anger? He's just... I don't get it.
Look,
He's had a great life.
I don't think, I'm not going to take credit for giving him a life, but the truth was, when I asked Mick to join the band,
right,
and he said, "What about George?" I said, "No, I'm a guitar player. I'm just looking for a drummer." He said, "Well, Mick, George and I went to Auburn High School together. We were in the boys. I came to LA. We're kind of a team." And I said, "Man, George is awesome.
Yeah.
But the guys, to me, we don't like him. We don't get along.
Right.
Our spiritual values." Way we see the world, he just seemed very angry all the time, and I said, I don't need it. I don't need this. I don't need stress.
Right.
The God's truth, and George would call me up and deny it. But when we did Breaking the Chains, before the album was done, he left.
Wow.
He just woke up. He was gone. We're in Germany. I was like, he went home. He's going to find the girlfriend. Going to play him home.
Wow.
I went, but he didn't finish the solos and the rhythms, so I did them myself.
Wow.
So we put the album out.
George, you played the solos on the first record?
A couple.
Right.
Paris, the original Paris demo, a couple of songs. But the truth was, George said, "I don't want to be in your band. Just give me my $1,000. That's what it was, $1,000. Right. Hotel expenses." Mick and I are going home to get Exciter back together.
Right.
As he said, if you can get a deal, we can get a deal. So they went back. So now the album's done.
Yep.
And I have no band again. But the truth was, it was never a band anyway.
Right.
Any hardcore Dokken fan knows if they have the original record, it says Don Dokken on it.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Dokken.
Right.
It says Don Dokken, and there's a picture of me on the cover.
Right.
It was a solo record.
Yeah.
Then it came into an import. And all of a sudden it sold 30,000 copies in Germany.
Yeah.
Now, Mick and George were working for Gallo Wine.
Right.
Delivering booze to bad liquor stores.
That was their job?
They're delivering Gallo Wine. God's truth. So I get back to L.A., my album's taken off in Europe. The record company wants to put me on tour. I don't have a band again.
Yeah.
Juan, who was in the band, Juan says, "I've had it," because I'm also playing a Rat, and these guys are on the verge of getting this deal. And he says, Juan did not like George either. He said, "George and I don't get along."
Right.
Even though Juan had played with me for we were the first guys to go to Germany.
Yeah.
Juan and I really paid our dues. Like, I'm not, it's the same story. We slept in our amps in a van.
Yeah.
It was before the wall came down. We actually went through Checkpoint Charlie, AK-47 shoved up our hiney.
Yeah.
They said, "Okay, please unload your truck." And I'm like, unload? It was snowing.
Yeah.
We had no gloves. And I'm like, we had one roadie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nobody wants to get smuggled into East Germany. They're trying to get out.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But they're just messing with us.
They're crazy there.
So we unloaded tanks. I got pictures of tanks and machine guns, and they're looking at us, Checkpoint Charlie. Because we got a gig somehow with a visa to go play in East Germany
at
a place called the Cantino. But that was just Juan.
Right.
On bass, doing vocals with me, and I was doing all the guitar work and vocals. And
Juan's not even in Rat now, right?
No, and Greg, because he can't get along with Blotz.
Right.
And then Greg Pecker was on drums, so we were a three-piece. So I already toured Germany twice, sold 30,000 records, and then lo and behold, by the by an act of God, I think, is luck.
Right.
This guy named Cliff Bernstein, who ended up becoming the biggest manager on the planet.
Yeah, Metallica's.
You know,
Q
Prime, Queensryche, Tesla, you name it, they had him.
Yep.
I get this phone call, this guy Cliff, and he says, I got your record in an import store, and I really like it, and and I think I can get you a deal in the States. And I'm like, And by then, Mick was done with the Exciter thing, just imploded.
Yeah.
So Mick's living with me, we're roommates, and I said, well, so Dokken and Juan's gone, so Dokken consists of Mick and I.
Right.
And he says, well, where's the guitar player? George, I said, well, he's out. He's auditioning for Ozzy at the time.
Right.
And they flew him to London, and it was looked like a surefire thing he was going to get in.
Yeah.
They actually flew him there. He was in.
Yeah. Was that after Rhodes?
After Randy. And George did something lame, and he obviously didn't get the gig.
Right. What did he do?
I'm not saying. I'm not here to talk shit. Unfortunately, I'm a Buddhist, man. Look, it's a hard thing to do on the radio or write a book. If you got nothing good to say, don't say anything.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm trying to be as finessey as possible. Why would I talk smack about George?
Yeah.
Why? Because he's not perfect?
Yeah.
Well, me, who lives in a glass house? I'm not going to talk shit about anybody because I'm a hypocrite then. So I can't. The bottom line is he didn't get the gig.
Right.
So at this point, Warren DeMartini, went up in Rat hadn't signed yet.
Yep.
I get Warren in Dokken.
Yeah, he's great.
Warren gets in. We play the whiskey. I got the showcase. I got a record deal. I think Warren was 18.
Yeah.
So it's Juan and Warren and we go showcase for Clip, and Warren's in the band, and we're showcase for labels. George shows up at the whiskey.
Oh.
He's telling Warren, you don't want to play with Don. This guy's an asshole, man. He's out of his mind. You don't want to play with him. He's difficult. He's impossible to get along with because George had lost his gig in Ozzy, and he wanted back in Dokken.
Yeah.
And he's telling, and here's 18-year-old Warren going,
yeah.
And he goes, dude, tell me, man, I'm the only guy who can deal with this guy. This guy's an egomaniac. You don't want to be in this band. He wanted his gig back.
Yeah.
So I went to Cliff and I said, what do I do? I like Warren. We get along great. And he says, I think you should get George.
Yeah.
And you should get I want the band that played on the record.
Yeah. Cliff's amazing.
But Cliff and Peter said that's what we want.
Yeah.
Because this guy's a smoking guitar player. But Juan's like, I'm out. I'm going Rat. And then the single came out. Yeah. And it exploded round and round.
Right.
So Juan's like, I'm playing in Dokken, I'm playing in Rat. I'm going for Rat.
Yeah.
So now I'm out of bass player. That's why I'm looking for Pilsen.
Yep.
So George is back begrudgingly.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing. If you don't want to be in a band.
You guys hated each other from day one.
I'll never forget my label in Germany saying, you guys are going to be famous despite yourselves.
Yeah. Now, what about this? If you guys do the original lineup, you could obviously just travel separately.
Oh, I've learned, I watched.
Walk on and go.
I've watched Poison, everybody has their own tour bus.
Yep.
It's always the singer battling. Usually it's always a singer guitar player there.
Right.
And, you have your own bus.
Right.
Obviously, there was tension when, like when Brett went out and made, a huge statement with his TV show, and he's famous, and then, and he's got that going on, and the band obviously, and also Brett's out playing the exact same Poison show.
Yeah.
It's just Poison without Poison.
It's weird.
And they weren't happy about that.
Yeah.
But, when it comes down to business, it's business.
That's right. It's
all right.
business
Put Brett's, bus in the other side of the arena, and we'll be on this side of the arena.
Right.
Why
don't you do that, though?
We're ready. That was this whole thing about going on Eddie Trunk's show. American Express and all these people were coming at us for $1 million offers.
Right.
And I said, okay, George, we had a meeting at the Rainbow.
Right.
I sat down with George and Jeff for the first time in like 10 years.
Right.
Or since 95. Now, when George screwed up again in 95, we kicked him out.
Right.
And it was still Jeff, original band, except minus George.
Right.
He was roided out.
The Lynch Mob?
No, that was after Lynch Mob.
Oh, after Lynch Mob. The second round. I got you.
Whatever he was doing. I don't know what he was doing. We did Dokken Reunion in 95.
Right.
And I left the tour.
Right.
Because I almost got choked to death. So I said, okay, I'm not going to die for this band.
From George? He choked you to death?
Man, it's awesome weather outside.
Oh.
It's got to be about 80. So that was the end of that tour. And that was the end of the band. That's when we brought in Red Beach.
Yeah.
I just said, I can't. It's over. It's not. I can't do this. Yeah. It's not funny anymore. The violence.
The cool thing about having you on is I get to hear what's going down, because when you're on the outside, you go, you know what?
It's all the magazines and the blogs and the internet.
And also, though, you could be like, these guys could just tour and make some crazy money.
Crazy money.
Right.
But like I said, after Eddie Trunk, we're gonna do the reunion. So I met with George. I met with Jeff. And the joke was, Mick's like, no way Mick is saying, I will never walk on stage with George Lynch again. I don't trust him.
Right.
He screwed us in '88. We were playing stadiums, and he ruined our career. You quit because he was making you crazy.
Right.
And you were like losing your mind.
Yeah.
Then in '95, he did it again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, twice as too much.
Yeah.
And I did ask George once. We were in Japan when we did the last video we did. Mr. Udo, the big famous producer, said, it's over. It's obvious that you and George are not going to survive more than one tour.
Right.
And I went to George once, and I'll never forget this. I talked about it in therapy a lot. And I asked him, I said, George, what can I do?
Right.
What is the matter?
Yeah. How can we fix this?
Why are we just going at it?
Yeah.
And he looked up at the backdrop, this 40-foot logo of Dokken, and he points at that, my name, and he goes, that's the problem.
Wow. Just jealous.
Like, the more famous, the harder I try to help this band, the harder I play, I'm getting more credit because the band's after me. And I said, this is silliness.
You wrote the songs, right?
Yes, but it's a four-way split.
Yeah, four-way
if I was
split.
somebody, I can name a lot of singers that took their publishing.
Yeah.
And I wrote,
as
everybody knows what I wrote and didn't write.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go there about the hits and who wrote them.
Yeah.
And there's a little apartment on his 4-track. But, if you want to break it down mathematically.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is it was a four-way split.
Right, that's cool.
So if I wrote all the hits, Mick's the one that scored. Mick never wrote a song. And I make $1, he makes $1. I get $1 million, he gets $1 million. He got a check once for $97,000. He called me, he goes, hey, Don, hey, what's up, Dokken? Hey, I got this check for $97,000. What the hell's that for? I go, I think it's for In My Dreams. You know that song I wrote 15 years ago when I was drunk on a beach down in in Puerto Vallarta? Wow, cool. What's that? So that's your 25%. He goes, cool, I'm buying a Harley.
Oh, fuck.
And he didn't know. He said, what's it for? I go, it's for In My Dreams, dude. It's the remake for the Disney thing. They did a hip-hop version.
Oh,
shit. And we made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of it.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're out of time.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
But listen, I'm glad you came down, man. This is
fucking
great.
We can have this conversation
fan,
forever.
Man.
I would love to see Dokken get back together. Like I said, we did the
that's
A-Trunk
what
show.
we need.
The night before A-Trunk, we're going to announce a reunion.
Right.
Jeff had talked to Foreigner. They weren't going on tour.
Right.
And Mick Jones decided to go on tour.
Yep.
So Jeff goes, I can't do the reunion. And he goes, but I totally want to do it in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I went, huh?
2 or 3 years.
That's what he said. I go, but we're going on a drunk tomorrow, and we're supposed to. So I was in a really bad position.
Right.
And that's what happened.
It's going to happen.
That's the God's truth. I'll take a lie detector test.
I think it's going to happen.
It wasn't George. It wasn't me. It wasn't Mick. And Mick's the one that didn't want to do it. Mick's like, I don't want to be within 10 feet of George.
Right.
And now he just played with George a couple shows. So we're getting older.
Yep.
And how longer can I go? I would love to. I call it the exclamation point.
Yeah.
How awesome would it be for Dokken to do an album and put that exclamation? But the problem is I love the band I got now.
Yeah, but, you can still do that.
Yeah, but
that's all there is to it.
If God wills it, and the cards come together,
it's going to happen.
It'll happen. They better hurry up, man. My wheelchair's I'm waiting.
Thanks for coming, Don.
God bless.
Will you come back again?
Anytime you want, man. I live right down the street.
Dude, it's on. I'll have you come down again.
We'll come down and we'll just talk more
Let's
baloney.
do it. Let's
nonsense.
do it, dude. I'm glad you came. Thanks, man.
More road stories.
Thank you, brother.